Hello, guys. It's Mo in the deep end and Fry. And let me see if I can get him on camera, but he might. Back there, peeking out just a little bit from the clubhouse, is Loki, hiding from Fry because his buzz collar is being charged. So he is hiding because Fry now realizes he can bark at him to try to get him to play. Which again, Fry doesn't realize is not an effective strategy to make friends. But Fry is, well, Fry is not enough. Fry is a puppy and not the smartest puppy. So we have not learned that barking at people is not how we make friends. Today on Newsy News, we have for our first story Sydney Powell, but not that Sydney Powell. And I keep getting her confused. And I swear to goodness, I really think that we should have had her name changed, or at least that case should have been called Sydney Powell, but not. Would you stop messing up, you stinky computer? I cannot. I have had the worst case of Butterfingers today. It has been an issue. But Ohio woman killed mother with frying pan and knife after she discovered her college secret. This does look like a case that I definitely want to do a rewatch on. I have so many cases that I want to do rewatches on. But considering this might be, yes, I did see that. And thank you so much. Again, anyone, if you would like to, if you guys find local news cases that you think this is a train wreck, it definitely belongs on Newsy News, send me an email. I believe it is in my About section along with my P.O. box. I need to get better at checking those things. I check my email all the time. I do not check my P.O. box all the time. I am getting better at that. But it is all the things. Good morning, Mads. Good morning, Miami Spice. Fry has had an eventful morning, and we have learned that we have new Halloween toys at Walmart. So mom went and bought us all the Halloween toys, and the boys found a Bender toy that was supposed to be a collectible, but we gave it to the puppy. So it now is what it is. Oh, really? Dang it. Of course they did. Court TV ruining it for everyone yet again. But let's get into the article. Since I don't know much about this story, let's see what happened. A 23-year-old Ohio woman killed her mother by beating her with an iron skillet. You know what? The abuse of iron skillets here lately is just ridiculous. Thanks. Yeah, you know what? If I have an emotional support puppy and not an emotional support vodka, I think I should share him with everyone. The emotional support vodka is just a thought for next year. Thank you, Rabbit. Thank you, Wesley Hoke. Thank you, Broken Baker. I want to look at your case too because yours seems so much more fun than my alleged fun case was supposed to be. Uh, by beating her mother with an iron skillet and stabbing her dozens of times because she found out the younger woman had been kicked out of college. Again, the amount of energy. Look, trigonometry is hard. The first year of college is ridiculous. But you could have just gone to welding school or learned how to use that iron skillet to make you some biscuits. But no. Sidney Powell of Akron was found guilty of murder, felonious assault, and tampering with evidence in the brutal death of healthcare worker Brenda Powell, according to Summit County Prosecutor's Office. Quote, in March of 2020, Powell struck Brenda Powell. Okay, they should have just said Cindy. But Powell struck Brenda Powell in the head with an iron skillet, then stabbed her nearly 30 times in the neck. 30 times. Well, she was a whole lot mad. Uh, the office said in a release. Well, but did she take a nibble? I mean, I feel like did she take a nibble and then did she try to barbecue? Because I feel like if we didn't take that additional step, I do blame Rapunzel. I do blame Rapunzel. Disney yet again teaching girls bad things. I love Rapunzel too, dang it. Powell, a former Mount Union University student. I mean, Do we even call her can we revoke her college student status? I mean, let's be honest, it seems like she didn't have a status at this point, other than, not having a status. Sobbed in the Summit County Common Pleas courtroom after a jury found her guilty Wednesday, the Akron Beacon Journal reported. Police found Brenda inside her Scudder Drive home with severe injuries on March 3rd, 2020. Friberto, if you get I will get the head of shame. Yes. Uh, oh, with severe injuries, March 2020. Both she and her then 19-year-old daughter were taken to the hospital where Brenda eventually died. Prosecutors say Powell attacked her mother, a child life specialist at Akron Children's Hospital. So her mother was a good person and she was just lame and didn't want to get a job and didn't want to go back to college. Ma'am, it's called life and you stumble. Look, as a person who may or may not have allegedly dropped out of college and failed to inform her parents for several months, look, as a person whose parents are both still alive, it happens. Look, you deal with being a screw up for a while. Everyone in my family has been the black sheep. You deal with it, you take a slight ribbing, or being the perennial disappointment of your parents. You get on with it, you pull yourself up, you get your big girl, big boy panties on, and you or underoos, whatever you do. And then you go on with life, you get yourself a gerb, and you deal with it. That's how you deal with this. Chandler, you too. You deal with being a screw up for just a bit, and then you stop being a screw up. It's kind of what happens. Look, as a person who may or may not have, not disclosed that I dropped out of college for a while to my parents and then did so. You deal with being the black sheep for a while. Well, I mean, you do have to work hard. I mean, there are some steps required. I mean, you do have to eat a little humble pie. You do have to, prove yourself to not be a total screw up. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my thing too. I was a high achiever in high school, and then I kind of got overwhelmed. I wasn't maybe socially ready for college because I'm an introvert, and that was a whole lot of peopling. So maybe I just wasn't ready for college, and I should have, not gone. But that's okay. Again, you are allowed to make mistakes. How you figure it out after that is what defines you. And perhaps not using a skillet to murder your mom is, a choice. Powell said, or prosecutor says Powell attacked her mother, okay, while she was on the phone with officials from her school. During the trial, defense argued that Sydney suffered from schizophrenia and therefore could not be held accountable for her murder. You know what? I am so daggone tired of mental health stuff. Look, mental health is real. Don't get me wrong. Mental health is totally real. That is a thing. But y'all, eh, mental health did not jump up. The schizophrenia did not jump out of her daggone body and grab that skillet. James Reardon, one of the three defense experts who made the diagnosis, said Sydney suffered from a psychotic break when she killed her mom, whom she considered her best friend. But Sylvia Obrayevich, a psychologist hired by the prosecutors, disagreed with that diagnosis and said Sydney did not meet the legal definition of insanity at the time of the crime. Obrayevich Obradovich acknowledged that Sydney suffers from mental health issues, including borderline personality traits, malingering, which means faking, and anxiety disorder. The Beacon Journal reported Stephen Powell, Sydney's father, and Brenda's husband and maternal grandmother, Betsy Brown, had urged prosecutors to reach a resolution without trial, according to the outlet, but the prosecution said it wanted the jury to decide. Sydney stopped attacking with the pan, presumably went to the kitchen with a knife, the assistant prosecutor Brian or Brian Stanto said, "She had to switch weapons and keep attacking her," he said, that Cindy carried out the deadly attack because she didn't want her secret revealed. Just the knife in the neck multiple times, that's purposeful, trying to end someone, Stanto said. The defense attorney, Donald Malrick, declined to comment after the verdict. Powell's sentencing was scheduled for September 28th. She could receive a maximum of life behind bars with a possibility of parole after 15 years and additional time for the evidence tampering in the conviction. I mean, look, I'm not denying that she has mental health issues. What I'm saying is that if she had a true psychotic break, I don't know that she would have switched weapons. I I think she definitely had issues. I definitely think she felt overwhelmed in school, and maybe she did have, a deep depression because, again, like I said, I went from being a very high achiever from high school and then kind of floundering in college. It can happen. It can happen to anyone. Yes, that's Loki. Loki loves and adores, Fry as long as he's not barking at him, but I look, she made a choice. She knew and she tried to cover up. She knew her actions were wrong. She wasn't completely insane. She didn't think Jesus made her do it. You know, it didn't pop out her body and, you know sorry. Hi, Bobby. Good morning. Yeah, it's just look, you know what? Admit you're wrong if you're doing look, generally, I don't offer life advice, but this is from a personal experience as a black sheep, generally, not perennially, sometimes. Look, young people out there, my audience, if you are currently maybe not doing the best in your life and you are hiding it from people you know, don't expend energy on that. Simply take responsibility. It's gonna suck for a little bit. Look, being the black sheep is not fun. You will take ribbing, all right? In my family, they will probably never let you forget it. But taking that first step will be a bajillion and 12 pounds of weight off your shoulders. I mean, look, you will still feel like a screw up, but you will not have the weight of the lies and the ridiculousness and trying to hide and pretend you're perfect, okay? Just deal with the craziness, put on your underoos, and do the hard work to better yourself, okay? It will get better. Just, we've all had those moments. Yeah, it's unlikely to work. In other well, look, being the black sheep is kinda cool too because then no one expects much from you. Look, it is what it is sometimes. In other news, how to not, be the best husband. An American husband was arrested after allegedly unheading father-in-law in Indonesia. Now, what I can say is, you know, A, if you're really mad at your father-in-law, just leave Indonesia. Second of all, possibly, well, that's all we have. So just don't. Apparently, Arthur Lee Weller, I'll have to look more of this up because apparently Yahoo did not deign to write anything about this, but just little thing. But an American businessman from San Francisco was arrested in Indonesia after allegedly stabbing his father in law to death. However, they claim beheading. So I will have to look that up later because they decided to just have a sentence. American journalists, what are you doing? In more important news, and do I have a business idea for you, Valhalla? Have we thought about Delta 8 goat butter? Just a thought. Sheep binge on 600 pounds of pot. They found green stuff to eat. I'm just throwing this out there, but Delta 8 goat cheese? Come on, millennials. Don't tell me you didn't think about this. They've been bad, very bad. Oh my god. New York Post, I love you. I hate you, it's cringy, I love you, you're cringy. You're cringe-hilarious. A flock of sheep near the town of oh, why did you do this? Almerios in Thessaly, Greece, broke into a greenhouse and devoured 600 pounds of medical cannabis. Those glaucoma people are oh, everyone with glaucoma and anxiety in Greece is like, "God dang it." The sheep were seeking refuge from flooding after the aftermath of Storm Daniel. The storm hit parts of central and eastern the Mediterranean and led to extreme flooding in Libya as well as Turkey. I believe they meant Turkey, Bulgaria, and Greece, according to the World Medical Meteorological Organization. I know those sheeps are like, God, can we go to Taco Bell next? They're like, where are the Cheetos? Where are the flaming hot Cheetos and the ramen noodles?" The sheep then went to the convenience store and ate all the Doritos. In spite of the floodwaters, the sheep appeared to have found greener pasture, though the sheep were unable to pull the wool over their shepherd's eyes. The shepherd said that after consuming the Mary Jane, the sheep started exhibiting higher jumping higher than goats. The owner of the legal cannabis plant was dumbfounded by the event. God. I wonder if the wool would get you high. I'm just asking for a friend. I'm ordering wool sweaters now, and I hate wool. Um, quote, "I don't know if it's for laughing or crying. We have the heat, lose a lot of production. We have the floods, we lose the rest. And the best, after all this, a herd of sheep. Fray Berto, do you want the hat of shame? I will get you a sombrero. It will be culturally inappropriate. I will get you one." Um, which I don't know how to get back. Entered the facility and started eating what it was left. This poor pot farmer, he just can't win for losing. First, they lose the heat, then they had the floods, and then these sheep just ate his entire stash. I don't know what to say, he said, honestly. Can you imagine his it's all scratchy and itchy. I don't like wool. Um, I don't know what to say, honestly. The farm owner, Yanis Boronis, told the local producer they found green stuff to eat and jumping higher than goats, which never happens, Newsweek reported. Weed has been legal in Greece for medicinal purposes since 2017, and the country welcomed their first medical cannabis plant this year. While weed can have medicinal purposes for humans, it's dangerous for animals. Cannabis poisoning among dogs is on the rise, especially in the US, where it was up 11% in cases last year, and that's a 300% in the last 5 years. Ever since pot dispensaries opened up in NYC, dogs have been poisoned after eating stoners' stray joints and edibles. So, note to self, watch Fry, but as a responsible human being with children, um, you should always have items locked up in safe places. But I'm just saying, Delta 8 goat cheese. I'm throwing it out there, Valhalla. I think we have a winning idea. We will be working on this later. Okay. In other news, Baltimore continues to suck, but they're taking your money in record numbers. Let's see. After district received 1.6 billion, that is with a B, like billion. 0 students are proficient in math in 13 Baltimore schools. That's unions at work for you, children. Uh, abolish the, uh, you know, abolish the federal education. Fry Berto. All right, 1 second. Oh, we are not happy. We is not a happy boy. But it is. It is head of shame time. Yeah, Fry is very upset. Department of Education needs to be, revoked. It does nothing. Yeah. Yeah, Fry is ANCAP all the way. He's definitely much more Michael Malice than I am, which is upsetting. "Alright, no biting. Hey, that's my medical bracelet, and you've already broken the last one. Alright, no more hat of shame, but no more barking at Loki. He's your friend. Also, I see you have an UGG boot." Uh, Local nonprofit calls for the resignation of head of school district, saying this is an educational homicide. Last year, Maryland lawmakers approved a budget allocating $21,000 per pupil spending. That was an increase of funding for more than 230 million for the prior year and ballooned the Baltimore City school budgets to more than 1.6 billion. Yet despite having Fry, I have your own camera and now you're trying to play with me. No, this is not bite time. Uh well, there you go. They're just training them to be lawyers. Reindeer has it all figured out. We're not training them to be engineers. We are training them to be lawyers. Loki's a Fed. That's how they got him in there. I knew it. Yet, despite having one of the largest educational budgets in the entire country, students within the school system are failing. The latest state test results show among 40% of Baltimore City high schools where exam was given, not a single student scored proficient in math. This is educational homicide. Jason Rodriguez, Deputy Director of People Empowered by the Struggle. Wow, that's a interesting name. A Baltimore-based nonprofit told Fox 45 News, after years of low test scores, Rodriguez is renewing calls for resignation of Baltimore City School CEO Director Sonia Santillis. Quote, "There is no excuse," he said. "We have a system that's running rogue and it starts at the top." Through a source in the school district, Fox 45 obtained unredacted test results for every school in the system. The results were from testing that took place this spring. Fox 45 found that 13 schools had 0 students that were proficient in math. So these are all Achievement Academy, Connections, community-based art schools, Excel Academy, I mean, New Era Academy, The Reach, I mean, just Vivian T. Thomas Medical Arts Academy. Even among the district's top performing high schools, only 11.4% of students were proficient in math. In addition to the 1.6 billion in state funding, Baltimore school cities received a further 799 million in COVID relief funding, leaving state residents wonder what it's being spent on since test scores remain so low. Well, look at how much the administrators get. Because I believe if I looked at this, and I think I was looking at this or something else, or I was watching Actual Justice Warrior, and he covered this just a couple of days ago. I believe their head of either their union or their superintendent makes, I want to say 300K a year. So look at the administrators if you ever want to know where money goes, because this is a big thing in our school district. And to give you a little idea, I am going to bring out the Board of Truth because, ta-da, it has arrived. Where is my Fry? If you eat one more of my magic erasers, I am going to make you wear the hat of truth again. Oh, wow. So for my sons, my state, Indiana, has the voucher system so you can go to a charter school. Now, this voucher covered approximately, we're going to make round numbers because I'm pre-law, which means I don't do numbers, but it covered approximately 7K of their private school, meaning we had to pay about, let's say, 500 for the full year for both boys. So that's 500 between both of them, so about 250 for each boy. Now, that was 7K for each boy to go to their school. So for each student, the state of Indiana, our tax money, so that's 14 attached to each 14 for two students. So per two. So the Baltimore state has, let's see, Baltimore has 21. I mean, these kids should be having MacBooks. They should have private tutors. They should have, I don't know, gold plated plutonium, like neutron colliders and CERN. I mean, these kids should be having all of this stuff. You know what they have? They have teachers that don't want to look like they're failing them, so they pass them on to the next grade without any skills because if they hold them back, well, then they're going to say, "Oh my gosh, look at all these students that are failing." There must be some sort of bias. Are you sure you're not biased? Are you sure you're not an ism, a phobe, or something? This is going to look really bad on our numbers. Just pass these kids. I mean, there was a story of a valedictorian from one of these Baltimore schools who got into a military academy. She couldn't do basic math. They had to make an entire course for this very smart girl who was able to learn the math, go through the course of this remedial math, and then go on to perform wonderfully in her military academy, but these schools are churning out kids that can't read, can't do anything, and yet the union is going to say we are underfunded and underrepresented. Abolish private. You know what? You want to talk about money in politics? Get private union money out of politics and see what happens. You don't let teachers unions, you don't let workers unions, you don't let them give money to politics, see what happens. Yeah, but that's just my thought. That's 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 my soapbox, but who knows? I mean, if these students were able to go to magnet schools, which teachers unions or not magnet, but charter schools, which teachers unions are vehemently against, it would be these these charter schools do much better, but what's what's children's education really about? Well, it's about the unions. I mean, think of the poor teachers. It's not a funding issue, or quote, "It's not a funding issue. We're getting plenty of funding," said Rodriguez. "I don't think money is the issue. I think it's an accountability issue." The statement provided by the school district, Fox 45, says that education officials need more time to turn their school around. Quote, "Baltimore city schools appreciate the recent one-time and ongoing increase in funding from our community," the statement read. "Community or city schools use the funding to increase student achievement. Our complete 2023 Maryland Comprehensive Assessment Program, MCAP, math data paints a genuine picture of our progress." Well, there we go. Um, yeah. Oh, yeah, believe me, as soon as the school system realized I was pulling the boys, they're like, "No, please look at our other elementary schools, please come back." I was like, "Oh, no, ma'am, you don't understand. Your tax funding has already been pulled to another school." Uh, the school officials added, quote, "But make no mistake, these recent increases do not." Friberto, I will put you out. If it's not the kids, it's the fry. If it's not the fry, it's the cat. If it's not the cat, it's ghosts. But make no mistake, these recent increases do not diminish or patch over the years of chronic underfunding. Ma'am, you just got a bajillion dollars. Do not talk to me. All right. In sad news, but we have to keep an eye on upcoming trials. A judge sets a trial date for Ohio dad accused of unaliving his young sons ahead of Father's Day. So this alleged human has a trial day set. So let's see what it is. Ohio prosecutors will have close to a year to prepare for a potential death penalty trial against a father, a, a human person charged with unaliving his three sons with a rifle just before Father's Day last June. Alleged human Chad Christopher Dorman, 32, is currently set to face a jury of his peers in Claremont County July 8th, 2024 to August 2nd, 2024 in the deaths of 3-year-old Chase, 4-year-old Hunter, and 7-year-old Clayton Dorman, records show. Common Pleas Court Judge Richard P. Frentz set the trial date Friday, September 22nd, anticipating the proceedings will span 4 weeks. In July, prosecutors alleged for the first time that Dorman began unaliving the victims after asking his wife and son to join him for a nap in the then couple's bedroom at their Laurel Lindell home in New Richmond, Monroe Township. The defendant, home from work early on June 7th, a Thursday, then allegedly got out of bed and opened fire. Prosecutors said that Dorman planned the unalivings for months and admitted he hadn't slept for days prior to the slayings because the thought of having to unalive his children was heavy on him. It's called maybe not doing that. You have every opportunity to, if you are having these thoughts, to play go ask for help. Go ask for help, go to a hospital, go to a friend, go to your wife, go to anyone. Video recorded after Dorman was taken into custody showed the suspect banging his head on the wall, and not hard enough because we still have a trial allegedly in Minecraft, Tetris, Pac-Man, and everywhere else. Hello, Gigi. Good morning. No worries about being late. No comment. In late June, a day after Dorman was indicted by a grand jury, Claremont County prosecutor Mark Tilvik was clear that his prosecution views this as views the unspeakable tragedy as a death penalty crime. I can't go into a whole lot of facts because this is a death penalty case, and my goal is to have this man unalived executed for slaughtering these little boys, Tilvik said. It's an incomprehensible act of horror he perpetrated on his family. Factually, I've said what I've said on record, and I'm going to stick with that, Tolvik continued. I'll let this fact speak for himself. He slaughtered his 3 children in the most brutal fashion you can imagine, as I mentioned in court. In court, Tolvik said, look, basically, he did a lot of gross stuff. And yeah, the prosecutor further said in court that Dorman made a full admission to the unconscionable crimes. Quote, in an act of incomprehensible cruelty, a father that stands before you lined up his 3 boys and executed him in his own home with a rifle, the prosecutor David Gass said. In an act of desperation, the mother at some point grabbed the rifle from the father and attempted to protect them. Dorman confessed to what I believe is the worst crime, at least I hope I see in my lifetime. Body cam from the day the family was murdered showed a calm Dorman sitting on the front step of his residence with a rifle next to him as the victims were not alive nearby. Can I stand up? Dorman responds or asks the responding deputies is kind of uncomfortable. The deputies arrived on scene after the victim's mother, while wounded, cried out on 911 call that her babies had been shot. She was heard on the body cam shouting that Chad Dorman took my life from me, my life. At least one neighbor said that Chad Dorman was abusive to his wife and kids, and that the defendant was angry every day. A sister of the boy's mother, a family friend, and a New Richmond Youth Sports Association, a baseball and softball organization, started fundraising campaigns to support the family, and the victim's older sister, Alexis, was the only child to escape alive. One day after the murders, the NRYSA revealed that 3 of the 4 child victims played baseball and softball locally. The president of that organization in July said that the 3-year-old Chase would always go to games and watch his older brothers play basketball or baseball. This is so sad. Dude, you are gonna be lucky if you make it to your trial unless they have you in, protected custody. Because, sir, I'm just saying, look, sir, uh, quote, "He knew when his brothers were on first or second or third. He was just waiting for his turn to be able to play," Kristen Bennett said, according to WKEF. Coaches remembered Hunter and Clayton both for their skill on the diamond and their joy they had with friends. Quote, "We just try to remember how they live. We talk about the things they did as kids, the stories they have, and with how they lived their lives, the things they did on the baseball field, the things they did in the dugout, funny things they did as they were playful, joyful, loving kids," Clayton's coach, Dwayne Kuh, reported. I think it's Kun or Co. Look, I don't know. Quote, "Those are the things we really focus on and the things we think about, and we continue to do that. It'll help us get us through this." An obituary for the child said that the 3 brothers, quote, "bonded together in life and now for eternity as God reeled them into heaven for unending days of fishing, playing outside, way past bedtime, laughing loudly and nonstop giggling." I mean, the fact that I have 3 sons and this dude is just, look, alleged human going to trial. Alleged human, alright? In another weird story, this woman seems incredibly happy to be in jail, and I have no idea what happened to her, but let's see here because as I say, I don't read these before I send them to you, or I put them on here. A woman barged into 80-year-old estranged husband's home and shot him because she did not want a divorce. You know? Seems like reasonable, and she seems quite happy that she's not getting divorced. Did you know my grandmother, and are you, like, Shiite Catholic? Because my grandma might approve of you. Just saying. And Arizona allegedly barged into her 80-year-old estranged husband home and confronted him when he was in bed, shot him because she did not want a divorce, according to officers. The Prescott Police Department announced that Christina Pasqueo, 62, is charged in attempted first-degree murder and aggravated assault. Wait, you attempted she went in and did not? It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Yeah, he's 80 and she missed? You were that close and you missed? Ma'am. Okay, uh, Pasquale Pasqualetto also faces a count each of forgery and theft after her estranged husband said she's stolen checks and forged a check about a week ago for $10,000 and cashed it. She allegedly admitted to this when she was talking to detectives, and officers claimed to have found a deposit slip in her purse matching the transactions. Look, Jussie Smollett, what have we said about writing checks about crimes? We don't do that. It's called electronic transfer. You use your smartphone, allegedly. I think the husband's gonna get that divorce now. What do you think, guys? The police said they responded Wednesday just after midnight to the 200 block of Thoroughbred Drive about a shooting. They determined a man had sustained a gunshot wound to his wrist. Ow. Responders treated him at the scene and took him to a local hospital before flying him out to a Phoenix area facility. Investigators said the 80-year-old victim to Pasqualetto had been divorcing and they were separated for several months. The man had changed the locks at his house, but the keys and other items had gone missing, officers said. He suspected his wife had taken them. Well, that's what 80-year-olds. I mean, good lord, I don't want this drama when I'm 80. I I don't know. Uh, he could be getting his Social Security, but generally those are electronic transferred now, so I don't know. Well, apparently 80-year-olds and this woman with 2 black eyes who's really happy to be in jail, I guess. The defendant allegedly told cops she did not want to get divorced, so she drove to the city of Gilbert from the city of Gilbert to Prescott, arriving before midnight. Uh, the cities are almost 120 miles from each other. Quote, the suspect reported that when she arrived, the victim was in bed and she came to the bedroom where a verbal argument ensued about the divorce. I would think the verbal argument would ensue about you being at my house when I changed the damned locks and, you know, you're here in my house. He still wanted the divorce and refused to change his mind. She pulled out a handgun and shot him while he was still in bed, officers said. But she managed to have all of the aim of many stormtroopers, so that's good. I know. I can't imagine why he wanted to divorce her. She seems so mild and, well, reasonable. Why would you wanna divorce her? She just, shoots you once in a while. He managed to knock her down. She dropped the gun, according to the cops. The victim was able to escape after striking Pasqualetto with his hands, elbows to escape the situation, they wrote. He reached a neighbor's home to call 911. Online records show that the defendant remains at the Yavapacky, y'all need to quit with these names, the Smith County Jail. Sal, what is this name? The Yavapacky? Look, some county jail. So, note to self, if you're 80 and your wife doesn't wanna get a divorce, make sure you change the locks with a proper locksmith guy and you hide the keys, okay? In our final story for today, because I do have the Delphi case with Nicholas, and then he has It Is Tuesday, it is a Jody day. We love Jody days here because we love Jody, sort of. Unless she's still talking about Smexy times, then we get a little cringy. But in our Babylon Bee thing, and sadly, in terrifying news, writers return from the strike refreshed and ready to destroy more beloved franchises. Hollywood, California, as news of a tentative agreement between Hollywood Studios and the Writers Guild of America broke, television and film writers expressed excitement and renewed vigor to return to the important work of destroying the entertainment world's most popular and beloved franchises. "Let's destroy some childhoods," said screenwriter Greg Valentines. "We've been out of work for months, and I've spent the entire time coming up with some great ideas for deconstructing and tainting the legacies of pop culture's most sacred and highly regarded intellectual properties. You thought The Last Jedi was bad? You ain't seen nothing yet, folks." Fans around the globe shuddered in horror when they thought of the entire guild of writers being unleashed once again to pervert and sully their favorite franchises and characters. "Oh no, what are they gonna do? What?" asked a terrified film fan, Cody Cato. "I was hoping the strike would keep going on longer than this. Haven't they done enough damage? What's next? Trans James Bond, Ethan Hunt renouncing his American citizenship in the next Mission Impossible movie? Make it stop." The returning writers seemed undeterred by the reservation expressed by fans. They'll never be able to stop us," Valentine continued. "We're endless fountains of creativity. And or when we're not completely undercutting decades of classic storytelling by rebooting old films, we're turning out tired, repetitive Marvel sequels. We're a tidal wave of destruction. Get out of our way or get steamrolled, baby." So, yeah, they're back. And, they're making, practical magic too, so yay. Sure, that won't be horrific and awful. So that Friberto, some days I swear to goodness, you just get out of frame just to bother me. But that is the newsy news for this morning. That is Mornings with Mo and Fry. Fry being, well, Fryberto, his sort of alternate spicy self, because his friend was here. He is ready to go. We are going to be talking about Delphi the Silent Years today, so be sure to stay with us. I will be dual streaming with Nicholas Starro Trial Watch. So are taking the Delphi case kind of chronologically. I do know that the state has done a rebuttal. I'm pretty sure it's summed up as no, we were super right. No, I have not read it all the way through yet. I have posted all of the rest of this week. It is a lighter week for me. I am coming off from a flare, so I will still be doing newsy news in the morning and in the evening, but I am taking a little bit of a step back, trying to do this whole wisdom thing of like respecting my body, so I will see you in a couple minutes with Nicholas. I will be setting up for that. So stay tuned. And then Nicholas will go on to do Jody Day. And we love that. And I will be putting out a couple videos here and there of different stories that kind of don't go with newsy news. And this weekend, we will have the Gareth Pursehouse murder board. And I should be able to use my lapel mic and walk you through it. In theory, guys. So I will see you in just a little bit. Okay. I will see you then. Bye, guys.